So hey again, it's Stephen. Behind me I have an icon of Mary being handed off by her parents, Joachim and Anna, to Zechariah, who is going to teach her. I think she's 10 years old here. So Mary is 10 and she's going into the temple to learn and to study, and Zechariah is going to be her teacher. And famously, at least in Orthodoxy, she's allowed to spend time in the Holy of Holies, and is the only human that's ever been in the Holy of Holies for an extended period of time that survived, that lived. So she's achieved some sort of level of advancement that allows her to be in the presence, in the sort of raw presence of God. And as we've been doing in the last few videos, that raw presence of God I'm seeing as a lower dimensional, and we're living in a higher dimensional projection from that. So that's interesting. And yesterday I was watching that video on the TLC of the final day of the North Estuary, and how Paul was talking about in his summation, and Grim Grizz had put on his channel that summation Paul was doing had reminded him of this conference where Paul and John Vervaeke were talking, and Paul was saying, well, I think that the TLC is just a bunch of voices that from disparate sets of beliefs, from all sorts of disparate sets of beliefs, who are coming together to find meaning, and we're getting along. We're getting along in a way that in the past that wouldn't have happened. We're not being sectarian. We're respecting each other's beliefs, and we have very disparate. It's a very disparate group, which is the great thing about it. It's disparate, but we're coming together in the interest of solving a problem that's greater than all of us, or that maybe greater than unless we can really get a substantial group of people together, that it's likely that we're going to lose this battle. So it's pretty important stuff, and I think that's how Paul sees it. And I had missed that video of John Vervaeke and Paul, and how John was saying, "Wow, you're really onto something here, Paul, with this idea that in the TLC, these different opinions are leading to an understanding, a grouping together in the interest of solving a larger problem, and how if you, in a way, if you don't have all these disparate voices working together, that you can't solve the problem. You can't solve the identity problem. You can't say everybody is of this identity. We have to recognize a near infinite number of identities, and we have to somehow get together to say that getting along with our different identities is better than any alternative. And if you don't get along, then it leads to big problems. And I think it ultimately leads, I think, sort of to this nihilism, and to being able to take over things because there are no strong beliefs. And so the state or human interests can take over what should be the loving interests of human beings towards each other. And I thought that was very powerful. I also thought it fits really well into this way that I'm thinking of the icons creating a holy space, and perhaps when and trying to understand sort of like the branding, all the branding that's going on is perhaps the branding are the icons. It's the iconography. The branding that we're doing is the iconography that's leading to a creation of a space that we inhabit as higher dimensional beings, and a space that is a holy space, that where we're honoring each other, we're loving each other, and that where love is the primary interest, and that requires projection from lower dimensional spaces that have that as their goal, that has the branding is ultimately has the goal of let's posit all these different points of view in a space where not only do we respect each other, but we love each other. And maybe that's the TLC. And I've been in Grim Grizz's channel, I've been posting icons, or I've been posting saints' names according to the card pulls, and creating sort of an iconostasis, writing this iconography. And I've been doing that to sort of try to introduce this pure, loving context into it, not realizing maybe the whole time that the branding was the same thing. And the branding is in a way better because it's using the tools of modernity instead of these old these old two-dimensional drawings. But I think or paintings. But I think they're achieving the same thing. It's like, I realized something about what the branding was doing, because there's a comfort in the branding, and it leads you into sort of a state, right? It's not really a trance, but it sort of gets you in the mood that we're all going to enter this space, and we're all going to be fighting against the forces that are trying to put human interests behind what should be a loving interest. And the branding is pointing that out in the effort to point out that the love is the better way to go. And I think of the iconography in the church as doing the same thing. It's setting up a loving space, and so they're perhaps the same things. So I've been building this iconostasis to introduce love into Grim Grizz's channel, but all along there's been this overwhelming use of branding that is doing the same way, in a way that everybody understands, and you don't have to do any research. You don't have to go to the internet to study the lives of these saints to try to figure out what's going on, or you don't have to have this idea that an iconostasis is the two-dimensional object that's creating a holy space. You can use the branding, which you have an intuitive knowledge that the branding, from the way you grew up in the television and the commercials, that branding is setting up the same sort of liturgical space. And it's just a liturgical space that's been reduced to trying to sell you something, or trying to give you a certain political point of view so that you become easily manipulated. And that what we're doing now is we're using that branding, we're turning it upside down, we're flipping it upside down, we're doing the Christian thing of flipping everything upside down. God becomes the lowly man, and the branding, this lowly branding, becomes the iconostasis of a holy space that we call the TLC. So there's that.